Donna White, County Extension Agent with Texas AgriLife Extension Service, and I'm here to show you a quick, healthy meal for your family's dinner tonight. The name of this recipe is Apple Pecan Pork Tenderloins, and this recipe is sponsored today by the Texas Pork Producers Association. Let's start with naming our ingredients. We're going to have 1 pound of the pork tenderloin cut in roughly 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch slices. And then we have 1 16-ounce can of sliced apples. Now, one thing, be sure you don't accidentally pick up apple pie filling because that would be too sweet. These are just plain sliced apples. And then the last ingredient is 1/4 of a cup of chopped pecans and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now, I know you may be like my husband and you're thinking, what do these flavors have to do with pork? But I think at the end, you'll see they make a very pleasant flavor combination. What we're going to do is, I've got about a tablespoon of butter that's already melted in my skillet. You can hear that sizzle as we put these down. We're going to brown one side of our meat for about 2 minutes. Pork is actually a very good choice for your family's mealtime because this pork tenderloin is actually rated by government standards as extra lean meat. And there's 6 other cuts of pork that are labeled and meet the criteria of being lean meat. So many of the times when we think about lean meat, we think mostly chicken. But actually pork is also called the other white meat. In fact, this very recipe came from the website theotherwhitemeat.com. And all I did to the original recipe was cut back just a little bit on the brown sugar. So we're going to let this pork brown nice and pretty on one side for about 2 minutes. Now you'll notice that this pound tenderloin made about this many slices and a few more because I cooked some up ahead of time to show you in a minute of what it looks like when it's done. Pork is also very high in protein and iron and niacin, B6. The apples that we'll put on it in just a minute are good for vitamin A, and they give us fiber as well. And the nuts have a little additional protein, and like I said, I did cut back a little bit on the sugar. So we're going to let these cook for just a little bit more before we turn them. Now, a lot of people may be a little hesitant to cook with pork because they may have had the experience that pork is tough or it's dry. And if that's been your experience, it may be because you're overcooking pork. The only way that you know when pork is done actually is by using a meat thermometer. And I'll show you in just a minute when we turn this over how you would check the proper temperature, but this needs to be cooked to 160 degrees. And when it's cooked to 160 degrees, then you know that it's done. That's your verification. One thing while we're waiting on this to brown I could talk to you about is how to use a meat thermometer. This is a dial kind of meat thermometer, and what you would do is this would have to register to 160 degrees before you would know that your pork is done. And you wouldn't, we've about got these turned now, and I'll show you. You would not, to check the temperature, you wouldn't put it straight down in your pork like this. You would lift it up off of the heat, and then you would put it in sideways in the pork, and it needs to register for at least 15 seconds. And then you would look at the dial, and it would be 160 degrees. Now, if you will look at the blog this week, we'll show you and demonstrate to you how to calibrate a thermometer, because actually it can't be off more than 2 degrees and still maintain an accurate reading. Now that this is brown, it's real easy now. We just pour our apples on our pork, and you'll notice these were drained apples. It doesn't have any juice on them, they're drained. And whoops, I left an apple. Then I'm just going to sprinkle brown sugar and the pecans on top. And that sugar will crystallize a little bit, and actually it'll give a real pretty color to the apples. I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit. Put the lid on because, see, that'll help steam it, and that's part of why this pork will stay so nice and moist. And now I would like to show you the finished product. Here you can see the apples have browned nicely, and the pork chops with the pecans, and we've shown just a little bit of rice served with that. This recipe makes about 5 servings, cost about $2 a serving, and there's about 250 calories per serving. Again, we wish to thank the Texas Pork Producers Association for sponsoring this recipe, and I hope you will remember to check with Texas AgriLife Extension Service for your family's healthy living tips.